I'm a little bit excited this morning, so please forgive my excitement. Amen. Lies, deception, schemes and tactics. Christians and non-Christians alike, somehow they have mastered the craft of hiding their sins. Let me give you a quick story. It was just January of this year, New Year's Day to be exact. Myself and the in-laws and my wife, we went on a little fishing expedition. And when we went, the place was so secluded, it was like a hideaway. Only few fishermen knew that spot. So the normal civilian don't even know that spot. New Year's Day, holiday. And when we get to that spot, which after we parked the car, we had to walk all kind of terrain and twist and turn. And when we get to that spot, to our great surprise, a married man and his girlfriend relaxing on the beach, half naked, sitting on beers. Only to realize that when they thought they got away, somebody saw them. You know why? Because as far as God is concerned, nobody can hide from him. Because God sees everything. So with this in mind, I propose to you this morning that no matter how skillful and secretive you may be in hiding your sins, God will find you. And let me make a disclaimer. I am not preaching this to set myself apart from anybody else. Because as far as I see, all of us in the same bracket. All of us are facing the same problem. And if we are not careful, even my own self, I could get in big trouble with God. So I need to make this clear. Because I don't want you to look as if I have it all together. It's not what we're talking about here. We're looking at what the Bible teaches, you know. Amen? Good. I want to share with you some thoughts that I see coming from the scripture. 2 Samuel 11, and as I said, some parts of chapter 12. Now, it's kind of a lengthy reading, so I won't read it now, but I will read the particular verses to relate to the particular point that I am making. And the first point I want us to look at is this. Nobody is untouchable. The rich, the poor, the young, the old, the middle-aged, everybody alike. Nobody is untouchable. Look what verse 1 and verse 2 says of chapter 11, 2 Samuel. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David went and sent Joab and his servants with him, and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried at Jerusalem. And it came to pass, this is the point here, in the evening time, that David arose off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And of course, David didn't just speak. David made sure he got a good glance of the woman. And what happened that transpired after this simply is that David fell as a result of that. This is David we are talking about. When God rejected King Saul, you know what God told Saul? He said, I will replace you with a man after my own heart. David was that man. And here we find David, a man after this, brothers and sisters. That regardless of the position you hold, or the family you belong to, or where you live, or your abilities, regardless of who you are not untouchable, because we all face the same problem. That is to fight for our integrity and our spiritual rightness before God. You see, as it relates to the passage, what was David's downfall? The woman. He took a man's wife and had sexual relations with her when you know that he was not supposed to do that. And that was his downfall. So for David, it was unholy sexual relations. For others, it might be power. Still for some, it might be fame and popularity. For others, it might be money, excessive gain, material gains. Even for some, it might be strange religious persuasions, where they exchange God's truth for something else. The fact is this: none of us are inescapable. And for many of us, as our faces are different, our challenges might be different. For some, this whole thing about sex is really bothering them. So they have a problem with that. But you see, money, that one might just be a downfall. You see the inability to tell the truth, you're always lying, that one might be a downfall. You see your need for just wanting money and wanting material gains, and you want the next car, and you want to be the biggest house, so the neighbors in the community would see you and say, yeah, boy, look at what he achieved. And all their life you just pursuing material gain for an image and to look good in people's eyes. And that might very well be your downfall. Sad too. You know what I realized as I intended to illustrate this morning? I observed that there are three things in life that none of us can escape from: death, sickness, and temptation. The first two, we may not have so much of a choice, because when death comes at you, you can't stop it. In the same way, when sickness comes at you, even though you are keeping yourself healthy, when it comes, you just can't stop it. I know a lady from Trinidad in the first year when I went back to school. Really nice lady. I used to call her auntie. The lady was like a health guru. If you see the lady, she was about 60 something and she looked like 12. And then one day, she wake up dead. Out of nowhere, she got a heart attack, died. She didn't even have a chance to fight. So, you may not even have a choice per se in death and sickness. But you see this one here, temptation? All of we have a choice. All of we can decide whether we are going down that road or whether we stay away from the road, because we understand very well that if we only go down that road, where it will lead. So there's a lesson we can learn from all of this. In fact, the first lesson. And the first lesson we can learn is this: beware of distractions and focus on what is important. Beware of distractions, folks, and focus on what is important. We read just now that at the time when David supposed, when war is going on, and David's supposed to go out to war, we read that he sent Joab, which was his military commander. He sent Joab and the other officers to go out and fight. And we also read that in the evening time, David was walking on top of his roof, and then he spotted a woman. It was not a strange thing for the kings to stay back at home. In fact, they even expected some of the kings to stay back at home to take care of military affairs, some of the state affairs, maybe a domestic business, maybe for some physical reason whatsoever. So it was not a bad thing. David didn't do a bad thing when he stayed away from people. Even when he was walking on the roof, that was a custom because how they build the houses, the roof had a nice big space for social gathering and so on. Especially to enjoy the nice evening breeze that would fly to Jerusalem. So there was no problem when David stayed back at home. Neither there was any problem when David walked on top of his roof in his own private space. The problem was when David realized what was going on and where he could lead instead of him retreating and going back in his house and focusing on the state affairs or probably coming up with some new military strategy to defeat the Philistines and the Amorites. David followed through. He allowed himself to become distracted. And if you and I allow ourselves to become distracted, we will fall hard. We will get ourselves into problems. So yes, what? Focus on what is important. So, you're on your computer. You're doing some constructive research. Maybe even looking for some new gospel music. And then, BAM! You know the story. Pop up. The nude sites. Or the voodoo sites. Click here. Focus on what is important. Because if you click, you will get sticky. Or maybe you're at home, relaxing, chilling, breezing, and somebody called it the gossip. Focus on what is important. Or maybe you just finished work, hard day's work, and you're looking to head home, and your co-workers offer to buy you a few rounds. Focus on what is important. What can this tell us about Jesus? Jesus overcame every trial that came his way. In Matthew and Hebrews, in Matthew 4:11, 1-11, we read about this whole temptation of Jesus, where he was led by the Spirit in the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And every one of the temptation that Satan brought to Jesus, he overcame them. In Hebrews 4:15, we told that Jesus was tempted in all parts like we, yet he was without sin. Additionally, 1 Corinthians 10:13 tells us that every temptation that we will face is common to man. But God will not allow us to be tempted above which we can bear. But with every temptation, he provides a way of escape. So Jesus, who overcame every single temptation, if you can focus on Jesus, depend